All right. Thanks for the hellos, everybody. If it's your first time, welcome. Let's get rocking. Welcome to our pod class. Our monthly pod class on this month is why do we get stuck? So we want to go over energetically what that looks like, how that might feel in and out of meditation, and then obviously how we can start to get unstuck. And in our next week's Seeing Energy monthly class, we're going to go into how to see some pain blocks and work through them. So we every month we also have our monthly Seeing Energy class. That's next Tuesday. So Cody, maybe we can start by just going over energetically what it might feel and look like to be stuck and why we get stuck. And let's caveat that by saying we all get stuck, sometimes for an hour, sometimes for a month, sometimes for a decade. And I'm sure you've seen as a teacher all
Yeah.
all kinds of, you know, stuckness. And I have seen, people be stuck for a decade or two.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, it's some
Yeah.
form. In my experience, it's always some form of pain, right? That is just not moving. And the person is having a hard time seeing through, healing, understanding, and maybe we in kind of energetic parlance, we call it being stuck on a picture. In our last podcast, we
Yeah.
talked about pictures a little bit. So there might be an image in someone's unconscious or conscious that says, everything I need to do perfectly, or I need to have control, or I'm not good enough to take a step. And so there's this image that they believe about themselves, about the world, and they kind of circle around that for a long time and can't seem to break through it. I've seen that happen many, many times. I've had it happen. And when I sit with someone and that starts to come up, I might energetically experience it and see it as like a grayness or a cloud or something that's really solidified that doesn't want to move. And often it radiates confusion. So I don't know about you, but I've seen stuckness radiate a lot of confusion. How have you seen
Yeah.
it manifest?
I think it radiates confusion. Sometimes it can certainly radiates a frustration, or sometimes we fall into apathy. I think, yes, we can get stuck on maybe our own self-limiting concept. We might get stuck in an idea that, I don't have, I'm missing something to be able to move forward. It can be as simple as I don't have enough time to ever get around to as more intense, like I'm missing some level of talent or knowledge or ability. So we can get stuck on our own limitations. Sometimes we can get stuck on other people's pictures about the way things are and the way things have to be or should be. And many times we hit this stuckness. It's almost like hitting a wall. Like we want to start to move our energy in a certain direction, and then that whatever that stuck picture or idea is, it stops us from moving forward. So I think there might be a lot of ways we define what it is to be stuck, but I think in the sense that we kind of look at energy and growth as what we're here to do is like grow and create. And so anywhere where we can't move forward in that type of direction, I think we might experience as being stuck. So I want to create something new. I want to, uh, experience growth or expand myself. And where I can't do that, to me, that is stuckness. But energetically, what that looks like when I'm reading someone is that the energy is not moving. So it really does show up as a place where energy can't move. And so it's frozen or it's kind of blocked within oneself.
Yeah,
One of the
yeah,
tricky things maybe is that it's very easy to externalize that stuckness. So it's that thing over there that has me stuck. But from an energetic and a meditative standpoint, there's somewhere in me that the energy isn't flowing to start to move things in a new direction. And that can be tricky to see. the difference, I think.
And then how that might manifest is a similar situation over and over. You might
Right,
go, okay, I can't believe I'm going through this same damn thing again, the same
right,
relationship dynamic or work thing, or it might just even be this more invalidation, just another loop of invalidation. When I work with a student around something they're stuck on, and one of the first things that we always kind of take a look at is what their relationship to the stuckness is. And so it often starts off as antagonistic, judgmental, they beat themselves up, and invalidation.
right,
So, for example, I can't believe I've been stuck on this for 2 years. I can't believe I'm still stuck on this. I should be through it already. And that, that judgment, that invalidation in and of itself is kind of the glue, rather than going, oh, clearly there's a big lesson here that I've been, circling around for a long time, maybe lifetimes, and I'm perhaps getting closer, like a spiral. Maybe every time I orbit around, I get a little bit closer. And so we first
right,
have to recognize the judgment and the invalidation, see if we can get past that, have compassion. And then, maybe what we as teachers could uniquely offer everyone listening, watching, is seeing it from an energetic perspective. So somebody was asking just now in the chat, does it being stuck stop us from seeing and visualizing? Yeah. A form of stuckness might be I can't see anything. I have no clarity around this question, around this energy. So when you close your eyes to meditate and you go, well, I can't see anything, I just feel trapped or stuck. Well, that's where I would start with a student. If I was working with them, I would ask them, well, describe the stuckness to me. So what is it? Is there a density to it? Is there a gray energy? Where do you feel it and sense it around your body? Is it on your chest or on your head? What is the sense of that stuckness? And then you realize it's not 100% stuck. There's always some wiggle room. All right, I see this like pulsating gray just right in front of me, like a big cloud, and I can't see through it, and I can't see past it. I can't see around it. All I see is a gray effing cloud, Cody. A lot of meditators will describe something like that. I'm looking for an answer. I just see the gray. I feel stuck. I feel confused. Now, what the heck do I do? Cody,
right. What do you do?
you get a hose and you
Get a hose
spray
and
the
yeah,
cloud. Yeah.
right,
With antagonism.
right. And resistance and frustration.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a real good point. I think there's a couple of things in that. That one is that the way out of being stuck, oftentimes we get our answer through seeing a next step, or seeing the dynamic that we're stuck in, or seeing the picture that we're stuck on. And so if we can't see, then that just feeds the stuckness. It certainly feeds the feeling that we're more stuck. The other thing that tends to happen with energy awareness is when we get stuck, regardless of how big of a point it is, it does tend to grab our attention. So it becomes bigger than maybe how much we're really stuck. And we don't see what is working or where things are moving. So we get kind of stuck on being stuck on the stuck point. It's kind of like if you stub your toe, suddenly all you're aware of is your stubbed toe because there's pain there. Everything else in your body is functioning fine, but that one thing is taking all your attention. And stuckness works a little bit like that, where if we become aware we're stuck or we're trying to move and we hit a block, suddenly all of our attention gets absorbed on in that. And we often lose sight of all the places where we are being creative, our energy is moving, or we do have our power. And if we, in meditation, kind of get space from the stuckness, we can find our way back into our power or our creativity. And from those places, we tend to get an answer. about how to move relative to a stuck point, what to change.
And I think the thing you're the most stuck on is probably what life wants you to pay the most attention to. And that's why it's not going anywhere. It's like until you really look at it and work through it, it'll just keep being that boulder in your consciousness, right?
Yeah,
It'll,
that is often where your growth
yeah.
is through that stuck point or where there's resistance. In kind of moving through that energy is where you'll get the most growth.
Well, one of the things I like to do is, so if you're meditating and there's a big ball of stuckness, it's nice to kind of take it out of the body for a moment and like put it in front of you in your mind's eye. So if you were to imagine, all right, I got this stuckness on my chest or just floating above me, place it in front of you so you can kind of maybe have a foot or two from it. Maybe it's in a bubble or in a ball or whatever shape it wants to take. Maybe it looks like chaotic shape with weird angles and it has a color. And then I even like might touch it energetically with my hand and just feel it from different angles. Like what's the texture of this thing? And usually at some point if you do that you get some neutrality and almost like a curiosity like, oh, okay, so you might need to learn the vibration and energy of stuckness itself before you can get to any of the layers that are underneath it. And underneath it there's always some pain. Maybe a dam wants to break and you need the emotion to just come out, anger or sadness, and the stuckness is actually holding it in place so you can function. So the stuckness could be a form of self-preservation and protection from a well of pain that you haven't been ready to feel. So when you start to master, oh, here's stuckness, it's gray, it's got a density, it's heavy, it's got this shape, okay, I'm just kind of curious about it. And it's holding in place some other energies inside of it. And then from there, I like to step back, sit with it for a moment, look at it in awe. And I might even ask the question to it, okay, so from 0 to 100, how much stuckness is there here? How stuck am I? Wow, 85, 90%. So even as I say that now, if you're watching, listening, if there's a topic that you're stuck on in your life, a theme, you can ask that question right now. 0 to 100, how stuck am I? How much of this energy of my energy is this stuckness eating? And just get it, quantify it a little bit. So, okay, that's a Mount Everest, or that's actually not as bad as I thought. Uh, and so first I like to just explore the energy. And then when you get neutral enough and you have some space and perspective, then maybe some layers start peeling off and some insight arises like, what's the lesson I'm here to learn? What is the picture or image I'm stuck on? Why is this not moving? What is it here that I need to see through or have clarity around? And when you start asking those questions and sit still as a meditator, that's when the energy starts to move. And some people will be like, oh, I sat with it, nothing happened. Did you? Was it 3 minutes or was it 4 minutes? You might have to sit for hundreds of hours if something's big, and maybe you get coaching on it. Who knows? But you might have to if it hasn't moved, you clearly haven't done enough work yet, whether it's getting the support you need or doing it yourself. If someone just resigns and says, it's not moving, I'm moving on, whatever, I'm going to medicate over it or avoid around it, then it's just going to get bigger. So it really is the only way around is through, and you have to be patient and persistent. I've had stare downs with my stuckness in the past, but like, all right, I'll just sit here. I'll sit here for an hour and
Stare downs.
yeah.
Play chicken with your stuckness. See who blinks first.
I'll show
I
you
think
stuckness.
yeah, energetically, one of the things that happens is that when we start to vibrate in an energy, we become that energy. So sometimes we're being the stuckness. We're in the energy so fully that I'm just being in that vibration. I'm being that. And those techniques you're talking about, where I start to experience that energy as something separate from me, so I can feel it, I can see it, I can get a sense of where it's located. It's not all of me. I start to separate from being that energy and get a little, like say, a little space and perspective. And that's when you can get more insight and answers. Because in many ways, as you're doing that, you're actually getting unstuck in that process. You maybe don't have the answer yet, but you're separating from that vibration as identifying with it as this I'm in this. And it's like, oh, there's this thing that I'm hitting. And that's a very different perspective than it's me and I'm the problem, or I can't do, or have no power, versus what is this thing and what's the way through it. And there's space in that awareness.
And a lot of people, they look for the intellectual answer before the shift in energy. I think that is the like most common mistake, which is I just want my answer, but the answer isn't coming because you haven't shifted any energy. And people don't want to shift energy because usually they have to feel pain or some
Yeah.
form, something has to move. And so it's almost a kind of avoidance to go, I'm just trying to extract my answer. That's why people go to psychics, bad ones, and say, here's money, give me my
Tell
answer.
me my answer.
Yeah, I don't want to go
Yeah.
through all
Well,
of this
and
preparation.
ironically, I think
Yeah.
that overanalyzing or overintellectualizing is a form of stuckness that we can get in. So I'm stuck, and then I start to overanalyze or intellectualize or look for that answer outside of myself. Those are all, I think, reflections of a form of being stuck.
Mm.
And when we move inward to the energy perspective, that's the place where we're connecting with our maybe true nature as a being, as a human being in the body, that we're creative and dynamic and we have our own answers. That's where we start to get unstuck and or realize where we might be stuck, that we don't even realize that I'm stuck kind of in an energy or in an idea that I don't really hold as true in my heart. It's just what I've been told. So we start to get unstuck in places where we didn't even realize our energy was caught up.
Yeah, one of the tools that we teach when we do some energy training, maybe we could do some of it today, is learning to call our energy back from the thing that we're stuck on. So, what often happens is there's this thing you're stuck on, relationship, life, work, medical thing, family, whatever it is. And so, what most people do is they think about it, they ruminate, and then they run their energy through it. And in a way, they're feeding the stuckness. You just keep running the same thought over and over, the same energy through it over and over, anxiety, fear, confusion. It's almost like you're feeding that ball of stuckness and it's getting stronger and nothing is shifting. And so in meditation, what we learn to do is call our energy back from the thing. So even again, another question: how much of your energy are you using to try to solve this thing? Let's say it's 50%, 70% of my energy right now is I'm just trying to solve this freaking thing. It's not working. So one of the first steps we would take is to call our energy back. We'll do this through some energy tools, call our energy back from doing that. What if you were to call all your energy back and not try to figure it out or fix it or heal it, fix the stuckness? That shift in energy in and of itself might actually loosen up. I've seen this happen many times, loosen up a lot of it. And someone will go, oh my God, I was in so much control or perfectionism. I was trying to manage, I was trying to bust through like I do at work or, in other areas of life where the more effort I put in, the more I get out. It doesn't work that way with this. So we call our energy back, give it space. The other thing maybe we could talk about for a few minutes is a lot of times stuck when there's a stuck energy, some of it, maybe all of it, might belong to somebody else. So it's very possible you're holding somebody else's stuckness, and it's like trying to eat food and digest for them. You can't do it, and so the energy doesn't move, and the energy is not moving, and it's never going to move because it's not yours to fix. You're just holding it for someone else. You might be holding somebody in somebody else's pain in their body, in their space, is for them to deal with. In yours, it feels like stuckness, or they're stuck and you're healing their stuckness and you're holding it for them because you're such a nice, sweet, loving person. And then you're getting stuck because maybe you hold everyone's stuckness. Maybe that's your job. Anyone have a professional stuckness holder? Anyone have a PhD in external stuckness holding? That's a good one.
Yeah. And sometimes we do that where there's some underlying agreement to heal or to not, you know, light someone up, make them feel bad. And so we might stay in certain levels of where our energy's stuck, and it really isn't that we're stuck. It's that there's something to do with our healing ability or just our nature of relating where we'll match someone else's stuckness. And those types of things, as you become aware of them through meditation, through seeing energy, uh, we tend to, once we really see it, those are easier to get out of because it's not really yours. It's just the realization that it's not yours that can be difficult to get to. And so when we do start to see energy and relate to energy, we do start to kind of release or step away from a lot of places where we're not really stuck, but we're stuck matching or in relation to something else that can't move or can't change. And that's a common kind of growth period, growth cycle that as you move into working with energy and spiritual stuff, that happens. A lot of people have that happen where as they do that, it shifts relationships. So one of the things that a lot of people go through when they really start to do energy work is, why are all these relationships shifting? And it's really you're shifting how you hold that energy relative to different people. And there's like a big step in freedom that happens in that. And then it comes back around and we reform our connections at a new energy level in a new way.
Uh, and people don't do that because they might feel like I'm abandoning this person in their pain.
Right. Yeah.
Uh,
Or that I'm all isolated and alone if I do that. So there's ways that, we hit things that hold us in place.
if I stop healing all these people I love, they won't come around and I'll be alone.
Right.
That's my value. That's my utility, is to hold
Yeah.
everyone else's pain. And, I mean, I've been holding Cody's for decades, and so I know.
Yeah. I know. Yeah.
Uh,
You call me
uh,
up. Why haven't you been calling me? Well, you stopped holding my pain. So,
got no use for me anymore now, man.
yeah, I got no use for you.
And so, if some of you are energy healers or therapists or caretakers or in some way, shape, or form helpers, um, this is a very common theme. And there's a lot of energy workers out there who have bad boundaries or who think their job is to hold the pain of the person that they're working with. That's their value, is to take it away from them. And that actually disempowers the person you're helping, because all of us are on this planet to work through our own stuff and our own pain and to transform through it. And so if you take that from someone, yeah, they might feel less pain in the short term, but there's going to be a lot less growth as well. And then you're overwhelmed and you can't digest all of that. And then you get stuck. So it's very common for the healer to become the stuck one. And you might even go, well, how come everyone else's relationships are working out, or finances or career, even though I'm doing 10 times more inner work? And it could be because you are taking on everyone's pain, getting stuck, and letting them get unstuck. And
You
again,
being
it
the
won't,
healer. Yeah. Out of
yeah,
control healer. Yeah.
being an out of control healer. Long term, it won't help them anyway. Short term, it might. But they'll recreate it again, and then you're there holding the bag because they paid you some money or
Open the
something.
bag.
This stuckness I got.
Yeah.
It,
So there's that
yeah.
form of stuckness in relating and managing kind of our how our energy works relative to the world, especially if we're a healer or sensitive at a psychic level, we tend to take on energy more easily. And then there's the stuckness that we were talking about where we get caught up in pictures, in ideas that are limiting and we get stuck in them. So there's various levels and ways that we get stuck. We can get stuck on things. We can get stuck in things. We can get stuck being in a particular vibration, in a relationship, and then we can't see our way out of it. Um,
And
why
stuck.
we get stuck? I
Yeah.
think it's partly we're sensitive and very psychic, so we take on a lot of energy, and we get kind of stuck on these notions, these pictures, these ideas, and don't realize that it could be different, or we could create space from it. I had this one story that really illustrates kind of someone realizing that they were stuck, even though they wouldn't have maybe before said I was stuck, but that they were stuck on a picture or a notion. I don't know if I've told this story, but it was a friend years ago, back when the lottery started in California, and she got interviewed on the news. And I mean, simple question. Well, what would you do if you won the lottery? And so she gave the interview and she was all excited. She got home, she's going to be on the news. This was back before where you could just post yourself everywhere on social media. So the only way to get seen would be to be on the news. And so she like told all her friends and family to watch, and they watched her on the news, and she watched herself, and she was horrified. She suddenly realized when she saw all the things she said, she realized that she had this thought that she needed money to do them, and she realized she didn't. And so over the next 5 years, she did everything she said. She didn't win the lottery, but yet she did, because she did everything she said that she would do if she won millions of dollars. And she realized she was stuck in a picture. She might not have had that language for it, but that she was stuck in a picture that when I get enough money, I'll do these things, versus I'll just start doing them. What am I waiting for? And she got unstuck from a picture by seeing herself and realizing, wait, that is a total lie. Why would I wait to have millions of dollars to do any of those things when they don't cost money?
That's
So
good.
maybe what she needed to create more was space and time and intent in her life to be able to do those things. But the big picture she was in was she needed money, and that wasn't true.
And then the opposite, which a lot of people who win the lottery, they are operating from somebody else's picture of what you're supposed to do and what a life is supposed to look like, the house, the jet, or whatever it is. And because they're not operating from their own true picture or energy, they get stuck.
Right.
Everyone's just taking them for a ride. All the material wealth just help, makes them feel empty. And we've all seen that story play out so many times because they weren't actually in touch with who they were and what they wanted. And they thought the money would get them unstuck. But in fact, a lot of people who want to win the lottery many times are like, please help me get unstuck. But what you need to do to get unstuck is to work through the energy first and foremost. You do it from the outside in, it usually just amplifies all the problems. As we've seen, most people end up without money after they win the lottery, right? And they burn it all down because the core issue or issues weren't addressed. And so they just keep manifesting and getting worse until they burn it all down. So the person's back where they started. So they can actually deal with the energy. Life use. um, on that note, if any, for all of you who are here live, if anyone has a question, feel free to write it in the chat. Happy to answer any questions, and then we'll go into a meditation on this topic. So if you feel bad or ashamed around being stuck, this is a good chance to just write it in the chat. happy to answer or some insight, and then we'll do some energy work around it, because this is, the most common thing when it comes to energy work is I'm stuck on something and I can't see through it, can't get around it. My life's not changing. I feel the same every day. And then the frustration grows. So feel free to, yeah, if you have something, drop it in the chat for us. And Cody will answer the question directly and tell you everything,
I'll do it
exactly what you should
telepathically.
do.
It'll be faster that way. We can answer a lot more questions if we do it telepathically.
There you go. There you go. Let's see. See if I can shorten this question. You've had a lot of situations repeating boundary setting. Yeah. Now, sure, boundary setting, especially if you are a fixer or a healer and you're constantly giving your energy away, might be part of the solution. Absolutely. But that's the part of the external part. The internal part is why do you have poor boundaries in the first place? So what is the picture? What's the pain? What is the energy that having poor boundaries is arising from in the first place? And can you go to the origin of that story? So is it because you're a good person? Are you the healer of the family? Is that how the only way to get validation from the world that there's no better way? So what is the core reason and energy that keeps you having poor boundaries, so porous boundaries? Are you giving more than you're receiving? And really reflecting on that and looking at that and healing it is what's going to create long-term, healthy boundaries. Obviously, if someone is abusive or, you really have to throw down the hammer and be like, back off. Of course, that's part of the equation. But just talking about the energetic internal side, we have to look at what the real core picture and reason is of why we have poor boundaries. So,
Yeah. I think one thing I see in this picture of like, well, I have to set boundaries and I don't set boundaries. I think when we're step into the meditative psychic world, we have to take a little different view and I have to realize, oh no, I set boundaries. I just don't like the boundaries I set. So why did I set the boundaries this way? And I'm wanting to change how I set the boundaries or change where the boundaries are. But no boundaries is a form of a boundary that you set. It's not like I don't have any boundaries and I have to set them, or David used the word poor. But I think sometimes we kind of neglect to realize, well, wherever I am, okay, these are the boundaries I set, and my growth is in learning to kind of set different boundaries. But part of that comes in looking at, like you were saying, and realizing, well, what are the pictures or the feelings or considerations that cause me to let the boundaries be set in the way they are, even though I don't like it?
you
What
know,
caused me to kind of not define what I like as what works for me, let's say, as the boundary. But
and I
the
never
boundaries are
hear,
there. They're the ones that unconsciously got set.
yeah,
And then we work to change those.
yeah. What I never hear, Cody, is people should really set some boundaries with me.
Yeah. Yeah. It's always the other way, right? I gotta set some.
In my entire teaching career, I have never a single time heard someone say, people need boundaries with me.
That's true. I mean, I really have to set some boundaries with you, but you know that.
But then that's the same, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, I have to
Uh,
set them.
and someone was sharing, yeah, not being heard when I was speaking up as a toddler. Yeah. So then, all right, if you can't hear me, I'll just open up all the boundaries just so someone can get in and get closer. And great, yeah, great awareness. Then we have to go back and really experience that energy through maybe our inner child. Really sit with that and process the pain. Right. That's the journey there. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Um, I've been through course on break my course on breakthrough twice. Okay, great. Um, got me to move to quit. Wow. You're a core caregiver. How can I get my energy back after being on a new path. Let's do that in meditation today and learning how to call our energy back. So we'll do that. I think we'll do that in meditation. And that's a great question. And do you need to get your energy back? So obviously, if you feel depleted or you feel like some of your energy is stuck in the past or with other people, then there's a reason why it's sticky and why it's over there. And we also have to explore why some of your energy is still running through that or running through the past. Is it trying to figure something out or heal something or complete a cycle? So that is something you might have to look at in meditation. Why is my energy stuck in the past? Yeah. Um, how can I keep moving with freezing up? With freezing up. So yeah, freezing up might be a form of being stuck. It might also be a response to fear, right? Fight, flight, or freeze.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure which
It's
one
more
it
of
is.
a survival response oftentimes. So
Yeah.
that's not necessarily a stuckness, but that is a trigger you need to can work on so that you don't freeze up. Yeah. That's
Last
more of a coping strategy than a stuckness. It's just it doesn't work for you necessarily.
hmm,
Yeah.
last week I had a bird. It hit the window inside my house and was trying to escape. It came through the chimney, and the dog
Ah,
chased it, and it ran into the window and hit the window and fell. And then it goes. So apparently, birds do this. They go into freeze and play dead almost. So the cat was just like, "Are you alive?" And so I put it in a little basket and I took it outside, and it wouldn't come out of the cage, out of the basket. It was too frozen. And so I just left it out there for a few hours on the grass, and eventually it unfroze and flew away, and it was totally fine, luckily. But I got to watch that freezing energy in real time. It was pretty wild. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Um, my right when I said that, my air conditioning turned on. Like, all right, it's gonna freeze me now. So great, great question. Yeah, freezing and being stuck are not necessarily the same thing. Freezing might be coming from fear, and then so you might have to take a look at that fear, what's triggering that. Yeah, great questions, everyone. Hmm. All right.
Cool.
So let's do some meditating here together. What do you say?
Good idea.
Can we just skip that part, Cody, and just get to the answer?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, there's so much we could say about stuckness, but the real work is that we teach and offer is really done in meditation and doing the energy work. Because
Yeah.
we could talk on and on about stuckness
Yeah.
and its different forms, but partly the more we move into a place of feeling our own energy and moving our own energy and really kind of getting grounded in the feeling of when we're in an energy of non-stuckness, the more we start to be able to then move those places that are stuck, because we can just get caught up locked up in a fight with the certain energies and a resistance, and then it's not going to move. And like you were saying, you pull your energy back out of everything and you get perspective, and suddenly you get an answer or an insight
Yeah.
that moves things forward.
Yeah. We got one more question. Cody, I'll let you answer it while I turn off my AC for the meditation.
Uh-huh.
All right.
We can't hear anything. I don't hear us AC.
Oh, just in case. It's loud. It's on me.
Which the question here?
Oh, I'll read it for you. Well, Kat said,
I can't see
oh,
it from
okay. Um, well, let me go with this one. I freeze out of fear and out of survival. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Maybe you could address freezing out of fear and survival.
Yeah, and those are natural responses. So, we can get stuck in the moment of that's happening, and it can get hard to get out of. But I wouldn't necessarily call that a stuckness unless we get in it perpetually. One of the reasons that we ground ourselves, like if we teach grounding from the first chakra, it's a little different way of grounding than many there's many forms of being grounded. It is to ground that first chakra is our survival center, and it is to ground that part of us and start to create the message within ourselves that we're safe. So we still can get set off on something that creates survival and fear in us, of course. And we can get stuck in the response to that, which might be freezing. It might be, fighting or retreating. So I've got to get away, or, oh, my energy kind of comes up in defense. Those are all natural survival responses. When we can really ground ourselves and start to recognize that response and the energy of it, we can start to release it. But it is often, those kinds of responses are often things that we're bringing awareness to it after the fact, because it gets triggered, and then we have to realize, oh, that I'm experiencing this survival response. And we can certainly look around and say, well, am I actually threatened? Because very often it gets set off in a way where there's actually no threat, and yet we're in a threat response. We can also look at the energy that tends to trigger us and start to release the energy and heal at that level. But awareness is the biggest thing, kind of realizing that it's a natural response, something triggered it, and I can start to move out of that and release that energy. But survival is one of the more tricky ones because it tends to take over for a
Yeah.
good reason.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we wouldn't be here.
Yeah. Um, all right. Well, last thing is often when uh, stuckness starts to melt, which is one of the things that can happen, the energy of the stuckness itself, as you sit with it with some compassion and take your foot off the pedal of self-invalidation or criticism, it'll start to melt. It will. And maybe the gray turns to brown, and then there's another color, or something opens and it shifts. What I found often, there might be a level of sadness or pain come off. You might even feel it viscerally, like some heaviness melting off your shoulders or your chest, and the energy starts to shift. And that's really cool. If you could sit and be still and compassionate and really look at something directly without squirming or running away, without fight, without flight, without freeze, then the energy will start to shift. And usually you have to feel something honestly for it to shift. Honesty always comes with clear vision. They're, two sides of the same coin. So let's do some of that together.
I would add one
Yeah,
point to that,
sure.
that there's this thought in the way you said that you have to feel something as if it's not there, and that now I'm going to feel it. Um, Very often, the feeling's already there. What we have to do is let it rise into conscious awareness and acknowledge it. It's not like we aren't feeling it. It's subconsciously controlling us. It's like the fear's already there. So it's like, I don't want to feel fear. It's like, you're already in fear. Sit with it and explore a little bit. Well, what is the nature of that energy? Where did it come from? And it will start to dissolve away. It'll start to resolve. So very often we're already in an energy, but we're trying to suppress it or avoid it or not feel it. So when we talk about in meditation, letting ourselves feel something, it's not like it's not there and we're going to go into it. It's like it's already there, and we're going to let ourselves actually experience it so that it can release.
Yeah. Well put. Thank you. I think I got unstuck just from Cody saying that. So I'll see you guys later. Thanks.
All right, let's meditate.
I got what I came for. And have some amusement with your stuckness. The more serious you take it, if you pour seriousness into stuckness, it will freeze it in place. That is one of the most common qualities I see in people who are very, very stuck. They are very, very serious. Those often go hand in hand. So ease up a little bit on the I'm going to figure this out or I'm going to die trying energy.
Yeah.
You probably
Yeah,
die
we
trying.
have to be we have to be a little amused with ourselves. This whole human thing is just strange. So I take
Yeah.
it too seriously.
Whenever I see Cody, I will go, look at that. This whole human thing is weird, man. You know.
Look at that guy.
Look at this. Look at this goofball. Talking about myself. All right. On that note, if you were listening to this on Spotify or somewhere like that, YouTube, thanks for being here with us today.